Hey, sports fans, you know the sound, you know the time. It's time for another episode of the Unbiased podcast. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Unbiased. Mr. Unbiased, Connor Bennion. Today is November 8th, 2022. This is episode 12. And I'm just so ecstatic and ready to jump in that we're going to get right into it. You know, what's interesting is sports continue. Sorry, readjusting my iPad for my notes. As the sports world continues, again, I'm pretty sure it was last week, or was that last week or a couple weeks ago that I said this is probably the most we're gonna ever have on a show. Well, I kind of forgot with the MLB and MLS finishing. That opens the door for the college basketball world. This is my BYU basketball hoodie. So, college basketball started this week. And then obviously we are again, we were in there last week as well, but we are 1 week closer to the World Cup starting. Go USA Men's. We'll talk about them later. But we're going to jump right in as we hopefully always do. And again, hopefully get the ball rolling. So I'm going to start with the MLB. I'm not going to talk a ton. I'm not going to lie. It's partially because I just don't like the Houston Astros. I did want to give a shout out and a recognition. When I say shout out, it's like Dusty Baker, great manager, great dude, loved throughout the MLB community. So, you know, he finally gets his World Series ring. And then a player who really kind of hit the jackpot was Trey Mancini, the Baltimore Orioles player, got traded to Houston in the middle of the season and worked out pretty well for me. He got his World Series title as well. Someone who, a great player and really was stuck in the wrong organization in Baltimore. So the Houston Astros defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2. They win the World Series. I believe it was Saturday night. And really, there's not much to say about them other than the fact that they were the best team in baseball. Really from beginning to end, they played well throughout the course of the season. Their pitching was tremendous. Their relief pitching was unhittable in the postseason. And then, like we've seen in years past, when they needed the hits most, they got them. Because Philadelphia, it wasn't that Philadelphia went down without a fight. Again, Philadelphia won 2 games. They won game 1 in Houston, and then they led 1-0 in game 6, if I remember correctly. So I look at, the World Series, and I give the credit to the Houston Astros. I'm assuming they won it fairly this time. Sorry, that's always going to be a question mark. But really just the core team that they have built and the culture that they've built in Houston is a winning culture, and they're going to win championships continuously. And not much to talk about them. Again, if it was the Yankees, I'd probably talk more about it. But again, since we last met, it was the Houston Astros that won the World Series. So that is one season come and gone. The MLB season is finished. Another season that finished on Saturday, the same day, a brutal day for the city of Philadelphia because the Philadelphia Phillies lost the World Series. And then the MLS Cup final was the Philadelphia Union and the Los Angeles and LAFC. And that game was one for the ages. It's 3-3 going into penalty kicks. But I should make the mention, I believe it was Gareth Bale scored the latest goal in MLS history with a 128th minute goal just to force extra time. Just to force the penalty kicks. So it's 3-2. LAFC is just hanging on the balance of their season, coming to an end in front of their home crowd. But Gareth Bale pulls out a stunning, perfectly timed 3-3 tying goal. They go to penalty kicks. And then LAFC wallops Philadelphia in the penalty kicks. They win 3-0. So congratulations to LAFC. They won their first franchise's MLS Cup final. Again, the Philadelphia Phillies lose the World Series on Saturday. Philadelphia Union lose the MLS Cup final on Saturday. It was a tough day for the city of brotherly love. But that's all we'll cover for the MLB. I'll cover for the MLS. Of course, their seasons have come and gone, so we won't talk more about those seasons until I'm sorry, we won't talk more about those leagues until next season, which will be crazy because hopefully by then the show's still going. Anyway, MLB covered, MLS covered. I'll stick on the topic of soccer as, again, just a reminder, I believe it's the World Cup starts on November 20th. The U.S. men, I apologize, I don't have their schedule. I won't take the time to pull it up because I know that they, well, again, obviously, next Tuesday will be the 15th. So we'll still have time to talk about the U.S. men. So we'll get to the U.S. men's national team and their World Cup schedule next week. Changing again, sports, the NBA, and wow, oh wow, and a question is actually aimed in the NBA or is part of the NBA, so I won't spend too much time talking about them. I obviously got to speak about those Utah Jazz. Yesterday, they play LA. They played the Lakers Friday in LA. They played the Clippers Sunday in LA. And then they played the Lakers last night in LA. Won all 3 games. The Jazz are 9-3. Through 12 games, if my memory is correct. Yeah, the Jazz are 9-3 through 12 games. They are number 1 in the West. Phoenix lost last night to Philadelphia, I believe. So Utah 9-3, best record in the NBA. Or sorry, best record in the West over Phoenix, Portland, and Denver, who are all 7-3. So I mean, and again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the Jazz here, just because again, I think in regards to having a weekly show, a lot changes in a week, obviously, and then in the NBA, a lot changes from November to December to January. Like, again, come talk to me in April. So I'm not going to spend too much time. For a more biased breakdown and a deeper breakdown of the Utah Jazz, check out the video link in my in the description below, because I will be making a new Babbling Bennion episode that I'll be releasing later today. So I'll talk more about the Jazz. I'll talk more about a lot of things there. But I'm not going to spend, again, too much time on the Utah Jazz other than they're 9-3. Again, the word I want to use is sustainable. I feel like they're playing sustainable basketball. They're shooting the 3 tremendously, which I know the argument can be, well, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. There are going to be games where you lose because, you're not going to be shooting and hitting the 3. And I get that. I agree. But in today's NBA, you win by the 3. Ask Steph Curry. The dude's got 4 championships. So, but beyond their 3 shooting abilities, they rebound as a team. They rebound well. They defend the paint well. They move the ball tremendously well. Again, I wanted to highlight the fact that Will Hardy's offense and Will Hardy's staff has really drilled and ingrained and really built a team that really, again, plays winning basketball. I feel like, again, they have the outside perimeter shooting, but they also have the ability to drive and collapse the defense and kick out 3s, which is a pretty high percentage shot. But also they have rim finishers, and they have a great rim finisher in Lauri Markkanen. And then yesterday, I mean, it's really interesting. You see Torton Halen Tucker, THT. I mean, that dude can throw down the hammer occasionally. So they have plenty of rim finishers. Again, I think that they're playing a sustainable type of basketball, and I feel like we haven't seen that in years past from the Jazz. So incredibly excited to see where they go, where they move forward. Again, since we last talked on November 1st, they lost at Dallas 103-100, which I'll bring up that loss in a second. And then Friday they beat the Lakers 130-116. Sunday they beat the Clippers, both games in LA, 110-102. And then yesterday they beat the Lakers 139-116. And when I say, by the way, when I say win, I mean they won against the Lakers again, 139 points. LeBron didn't play, I get it, but a win's a win. Anyway, but I wanted to go back to the Dallas game. It's because Dallas is part of 3 games that Utah's lost this season. 3-point loss to Dallas, a 6-point loss to Houston, which, again, what do those two have in common? They're single-digit losses. And then a 16-point loss to Denver. Again, never really in that game. But of the 3 losses, 2 have been by single digits, and 1 they had a game-tying shot from Clarkson in the corner that just didn't go down. And so, if he makes that shot, and I don't like to play the if game, had he made that shot, maybe it goes to overtime, maybe the Jazz win. I'm not saying that they just had anything stolen. I'm just saying the fact that the Jazz have been in every game that they've played. Again, they're 9-3. And so, again, sustainable basketball is what I believe they're playing, which is why they're so entertaining to me. It'll just be interesting to see where they go. Again, I feel like they have seasoned leadership. I feel like they have young athleticism. I feel like they have great coaching. Again, something that I think is going to make a huge difference, which is going to be very interesting to see as the season goes along, is that home court advantage. Knock on wood, they have yet to lose at home. They have they're undefeated at home, but it's because, to me, that home court advantage is a real thing. The community and this Jazz Nation love this Jazz team. Just to bring up their home schedule, which is funny, actually, by the way. They will not play a home game until... technically, they do play a home game on the 15th, which is a week from today. But I normally do, again, the show in the morning. So the next time that we talk about, they'll have come home from a road trip. They'll play at Atlanta on Wednesday. They'll play at Washington Saturday, and then at Philadelphia Sunday, and then go home, and then again host the New York Knicks on Tuesday, November 15th. So again, they'll still be undefeated when we talk at home. But the Utah Jazz continuously entertaining. The NBA really flipped on its head. Again, trades happen every year. Obviously, Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell only has 1 loss, I believe. I might as well just pull them up. Yeah. Oh, sorry, 2 losses. They're 8-2. And so I look, at trades, and they change the NBA landscape. And who knows what this year? Again, it's so early in the season that, let's keep playing. Let's see what happens. But got to give some love to those Utah Jazz. Number 1 in the West, 9-3. They're on a 3-game win streak. So a shout out to them. NBA, come and gone. Moving on to the world of college football. It's getting sticky. It's getting juicy. I did want to bring up something that I'm not exactly sure how to move forward with this, and that is something that I hadn't anticipated that I forgot was there's the AP Top 25 polls, which I'm going to read in just a second. There's the AP Top 25, and then there's the college football playoff rankings. And the trouble is they can be incredibly different. And the reason I say that is because, for example, in this new week's poll, or actually maybe the better example would be in last week's poll, when I was talking, and again, I'm not going to jump into the game review. I'm just using this as the example. Number 6 Alabama was at number 15 LSU. That's the AP poll, number 15 LSU, but the college football playoff ranking poll had LSU at 10. And 5 spots is a huge difference, especially when you're talking 10 to 15, or again, like 7 to 2. 5 is a huge number. So I'm going to go with the AP Top 25 rankings. And the reason I do that is because those are always updated on Sunday. The college football playoff rankings aren't. Sure. Oh. The college football playoff rankings aren't updated until Tuesday night. And so there's no reason for me to talk about the college football playoff rankings with what happened on Saturday, because they're going to be different later today. So I hope that makes sense. So again, the rankings that I talk about are going to be in reference to the AP Top 25, and they're going to be a lot different than the college football playoff rankings. So just because I can keep them consistent and I can have them updated every Tuesday morning, I'm sticking with AP Top 25. But remember, it's not the top 25 that are going to decide who makes the college football playoff. It's the college football playoff top 25. So again, in a way, don't pay attention to the rankings that are on this show. Pay more attention to the college football playoff rankings, because they will determine really how the college football playoff shapes up. And obviously, again, the nice thing is we'll have the college football playoff games selected and locked in, and the rankings won't even matter, later in the year in December. So again, I'm just using the rankings as a way to kind of measure where everybody is. Again, the AP Top 25 rankings is what I go with. So in regards to the AP Top 25 rankings, it got shook up as it always does. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, TCU. Number 5, Tennessee. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, USC. Number 9, UCLA. Number 10, Alabama. Number 11, Ole Miss. Number 12, Clemson. Number 13, Utah. Number 14, Penn State. Number 15, UNC. Number 16, North Carolina is 15. I don't want to use short abbreviations just in case it confuses you guys. Number 16, Tulane. Number 17, North Carolina State. Number 18, Texas. Number 19, Liberty. Number 20, Notre Dame. Number 21, Illinois. Number 22, UCF. Number 23, Kansas State. Number 24, Washington. And number 25, Florida State. So those are your top 25 rankings. I just realized I said I don't want to use abbreviations, and there's some in there, so let me do this for you. Number 4 is TCU. That's Texas Christian University. Number 22 is UCF, or University of Central Florida. And I think that was it, actually. Oh, that'll look it up. There's a ton of abbreviations, so I'm gonna leave them. Sorry, it's not bad. Anyway, sorry. It kind of distracted me. So those are your top 25. Again, I say I'm going to use those rankings in the way of looking at upsets and then also looking at top 25 clashes. Because again, some are top 25 matches in the college football playoff, and then some aren't in the AP top 25. Yeah, we're going to move on with the AP top 25. It's just easier for me, again, to have it completely updated every week. In regards to the state games here in the state of Utah, pretty good week. I did want to stand accountable and say that my college football record overall is getting there. Again, it's 39-23, 16 games over 500. I'm just kind of sticking around there. Kind of hanging around. Again, college football, I was having better success earlier, to be honest. Right now I'm doing okay. I was 4-3 this week. I was 4-3 this week, and it was a very interesting week for me on picks, and I'll explain that. Arizona was at number 12, Utah, and Utah beat the brakes off of them. Utah wins again, 45-20. I'm sorry, guys. Again, I it's not that I'm bored, and again, I would do the show later. I just want to get it out earlier, so I apologize that my body just will not allow me to just keep talking without yawning. But Utah beat Arizona 45-20. The fascinating thing with Utah is, again, they keep winning, and they're setting up a huge showdown with Oregon, because once again, Oregon now being number 6, and then USC being 8, UCLA being 9, Utah still has an opportunity to get a huge win over Oregon and really put themselves in a great position to go play in the Pac-12 championship. And again, you win the Pac-12 championship, you're in the Rose Bowl again. So Utah is right in the thick of it. Again, beat Arizona 45-20. I was correct on that game. So I don't want to spend too much time on this and too much recognition, because again, it comes across as prideful. But I just did want to make the mention, last week's game, BYU is at Boise State. BYU struggles at Boise. They've only won once ever. And that was with Zach Wilson, Tyler Algier, again, two future NFL players. They pounded Boise, but they struggled with Boise. Last year in Provo, they were the better team record-wise, and I think that they still were the better team, but they ended up losing in Provo in a rainy day that just did not go BYU's way. So what did I do? I picked against BYU. Yes, I can pick against BYU because I had the reason to. It was an unbiased pick. I picked against BYU because I was fully anticipating them to lose on Saturday at Boise State. And what did they do? I was wrong. BYU victorious over Boise State, 31-28. A game-winning touchdown catch by Puka Nacua, one of the greatest catches I've seen in a long time. Cougs win 31-28. I was incorrect there, but it was an unbiased pick, so I hope you enjoyed me picking against BYU. I was wrong, though, so it was a win-win. BYU won. I was wrong on my show, but BYU won, so it was worth the trade. Utah State continues their winning ways. They beat New Mexico 27-10 in Logan, so a good win for them there. Sacramento State, who's ranked number 2 in the FCS rankings, was at number 5 ranked Weber State. I was at that game. I was pumped. It was pouring rain, but I got a free t-shirt. I got a free rally towel. Really good tickets. It was an enjoyable game. Weber State made it interesting continuously, had a couple mistakes. They had a safety on an absolutely botched snap on a punt that they never really recovered from. And they ended up losing this game 33-20, but it was a really entertaining game. The crowd was electric. It was good to see Weber State have a good backing. Unfortunately, I was wrong there. I thought Weber State was going to find a way to pull out the win. With the loss, it kind of eliminates them from their opportunity to play in the Big Sky championship, but still a great season. They'll continue to play and hope things go their way. With the FCS, they have a more full playoff bracket. They don't do like a bowl game season. You either make their playoffs or you don't. So I expect Weber State to still see success, and I look forward to seeing them moving forward. Number 3, Tennessee was at number 1, Georgia. I had Georgia winning, and they really put the beat down on Tennessee. It was 27-13. It was closer than it was farther than the score indicates, in the way that it was 27-6 until late in the fourth quarter, and it was 2 field goals by Tennessee. Georgia really handled this game like I thought they would. They really put the beat down on Tennessee. And they showed why they're the number 1 team in the nation. So Georgia wins. I was correct there. Number 6, Alabama was at number 15, LSU. I had Alabama winning this game. LSU, give the credit to them. They pulled it out. And I shouldn't say they pulled it out because they were at home. They played tremendously. Game went to overtime. LSU scored on their first offensive possession. They scored on their first offensive play after Alabama had scored, and then LSU said, you know what, we're going for the win. They went for a 2-point conversion. They got it. They won the game, knocked off Alabama. I was wrong there. I had that game incorrect. LSU beats Alabama, and I'm not going to spend too much time other than with that loss. That effectively ends Alabama's opportunity to make the college football playoff, because they now would need LSU to lose their final 2 conference games, and Alabama would have to beat Ole Miss and Auburn just to play in the SEC championship game. So unfortunately for Alabama, this really was the nail in the coffin, arguably. I'm not going to spend too much time. Actually, I'm not going to spend time on this show on my Babbling Bennion episode that I'll make later today, and then I'll leave a link in the description below. I'll talk more about how I think it's kind of ridiculous that Alabama's playoff hopes are practically over, for the reason, hear me out, just unbiased view real quickly, hopefully in unbiased context. They lost to Tennessee, who is a top 10 team in the nation, whose only loss is going to be to Georgia, probably. And then they lost at LSU, who is now number 7 in the in the college football playoff ranks. But what I think is interesting is this, and that's if they beat Ole Miss and Auburn, which I think they will. Knock on wood, we'll talk about that in a second. But here's what I think is important and why this bothers me, that all losses are not created equally in college football. I personally believe that Nick Saban's coaching staff and Bryce Young, the defending Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, the defense that Alabama has built, the team that they have, I would give Alabama a better chance over Georgia in the SEC championship game than LSU has against Georgia. I think LSU is going to go play in the SEC championship game, and I think they're going to get, maybe not throttled, but I think they'll lose. I think looking ahead, I think Georgia's going to beat LSU. I think they'll beat them by double digits. But I look at Alabama and I say the culture, the team, and the coaching staff, to me, showed last year that they could beat Georgia. They beat them in the SEC championship game. I get that they lost in the national championship game. But I just think it's interesting that the goal is to find the best football team in college football. And the way that it's set up, it's not going to happen, in my opinion, because we'll never know. We'll never know if Georgia would lose to Alabama. So I don't think that, there's another thing. I don't think the 4 best teams are going to get into the college football playoff, personally. I still personally think, looking at the top 25, I think Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and really, and I apologize, this rant has taken a little bit longer than I was anticipating. I think Georgia, Ohio State, probably Tennessee and Alabama are the top 4 teams in the country. That's my opinion. That's excluding Michigan. That's excluding, I'll actually tell you, jumping, that's excluding Michigan, TCU, Oregon, LSU, USC, UCLA. Those 6 teams are all ahead of Alabama, but flip a coin. Actually, it's doomsday. And if Alabama wins a football game, the world is saved. If Alabama loses, the world ends. Give me Alabama over those 6 teams personally. So I'm going to end my rant there because that's more of a biased view. That's more of a babbling Bennion. Just in the context of, I just think it's super interesting. You can comment below and completely disagree. I just think that the college football world did itself a disservice with the college football playoff, the way it's set up right now. I'm glad that they're expanding, because there needs to be more than 4 teams, because the SEC is by far the best conference in college football, and Alabama had to go play at Tennessee and at LSU, and they play at Ole Miss. And I don't see a lot of teams doing that, Anyway, again, a biased view. I apologize on Unbiased. I just feel like in context, it's a pretty unbiased view. Above all, I'd probably be saying that about another team if it was a different conference as well, if that's any consolation. I just think that it's poorly set up, and I can't wait for the college football playoff expansion because I feel like it needs to happen. Anyway, so I was wrong there. And then number 20 Wake Forest was at number 21 North Carolina State. I had North Carolina State winning this game, and they did win 30-21. In regards, again, I'm sorry. I really hope that doesn't affect the show negatively continuously. For this week's games, reviewing in-state games, Stanford is at number 13 Utah. And I've got Utah winning this game. I think they'll win this game big. Stanford's on a major slump. They'll actually play Utah this week. And then on the, I believe it's the 26th, they host BYU. So Stanford will get a taste of 2 Utah teams this season. But I've got Utah winning this game. Utah State is at Hawaii. A 9 p.m. start because of the time difference with it being at Hawaii. I've got Utah State winning this game, another win in the Mountain West Conference. BYU is on a bye this week, so no game there. And then Idaho State is at Weber State, and I've got Weber State winning this game big. Idaho State, I believe, is 2-7, 2-8. So I've got Weber State winning this game big. Outside of the state, but top 25 matchups. Number 4, TCU is at number 18, Texas. And I like TCU winning this game, really putting themselves in a great position again to go and win, put themselves in that Big 12 position to go play in the Big 12 championship and keep that door open for, are they going to be that 4th seed or 3rd seed or 2nd or 1st, depending on how it works out in the college football playoff. They're setting it up to be the Big 12 representative. Like I said earlier, number 10, Alabama, is at number 11, Ole Miss. I've got to pick Alabama just because, again, you got to give me reasons to pick against them, and I just don't think that they're there. Again, I get that I picked them to beat Tennessee, and they lost. They were in that game. I get that I picked them to beat LSU, and they lost. They were in that game. What I think is crazy is the fact that this season isn't necessarily over in the way of, if you want to talk about pride, what's crazy at number 10 is Alabama, if they beat Ole Miss, beat Austin Peay, and beat Auburn, knock on wood, you got to imagine they're in a New Year's 6-day bowl game. That's still something to bang your hat on, and something a lot of teams don't succeed in. They may not make the college football playoff, but New Year's 6-day bowl game still means something. So I like them to win against Ole Miss, even though it's on the road. I just like them to bounce back again. I like the play of Bryce Young. I like this coaching staff. I like this team. They're Alabama. You got to give me major reasons to pick against them, and I don't necessarily see them. So I've got Alabama beating Ole Miss. And then a top 25 matchup in the AAC. The number 16 Tulane plays at number 22 UCF. And I've got UCF winning this game. I think that their program is more experienced. I think they have better athletes, and I just think they have a better opportunity being at home to win this game over Tulane. So those are all the games and all the talk that we'll focus on with the college football world. Again, because I'm an Alabama fan, I'll give you a more biased, raw view on the Babbling Bennion. Again, I will leave a link below in the description. But I'm making this video first, so the Babbling Bennion episode won't be uploaded till later today. So if the link isn't there, I haven't got to it yet. But that is all that we'll review in the college football world. We'll hit the NFL. Real quickly, my record, 20 games over 500, 78-58. I had a good week. This week I was 9-4 in the NFL. And by the way, just for your information, my overall record is 117-81. So again, plenty of wins, but plenty of losses, let's be real. I'll tell you, predicting is it's a hard game, especially with some of these games. Let's go back and review where I was right, where I was wrong. Thursday Night Football, the Eagles were at the Texans. Eagles continue to be undefeated. They win 29-17. Chargers were at the Falcons. I had the Chargers winning that game, and they did on a game-winning field goal, 20-17 Chargers. Dolphins were at the Bears. I had the Dolphins winning this game, but boy, Justin Fields gave his all. Just came up a little bit short. Dolphins win 35-32. I was correct there. Panthers were at the Bengals. I've got this Bengal flag up behind me because a major shout out to them. They wallop the Panthers, doubled them up 42-21. No Jamar Chase. Bengals are rolling. Just a side note, I don't think this happened. I had my first 4 games predicted correctly, so pretty good start. Packers are at the Lions. If you had the Lions winning, congrats to you. I did not. Packers drop this game. Lions win 15-9. I was wrong there. Colts were at the Patriots. Patriots were the team I had winning, and they walloped the Colts 26-3. Side note on the Colts, they just fired their head coach Frank Reich. They're sticking with Sam Ehlinger as their starting quarterback. They just named Jeff Saturday, the Colts legend, as interim head coach. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, Patriots win 26-3. I was correct there. Bills were at the Jets. I had the Bills winning this game. Zach Wilson comes in clutch. Jets win 20-17. Josh Allen throws 2 horrendous interceptions. Again, like we said, the Bills are a win. They're a beatable team. They are now 6-2. And here's the crazy part about that too. They're both in the division. Buffalo is 0-2 in their division, while the 3 teams in front of them all have a division win. Buffalo's 0-2. So I did not have that game going that way. I had the Bills winning this game. They lose to the Jets. I mean, I'm going to put it out there. I feel that's cause for major concern. But, I mean, it's the NFL. Week after week, anybody can lose to anybody. Anybody can beat anybody. So, just pay attention. It was brought up on a show that I listened to that is crazy, and that is the roller coaster of Josh Allen. There are games where he is the high of highs, and there are games where he is the low of lows. If you look at his QBR rating over, I think it's the last 2 seasons, he is up and down. His QBR is up and down. They win some games. They lose some terrible games. And it was brought up, and I'm trying to keep this with an unbiased view and not give too much time to Buffalo. What's crazy with Buffalo is they have accomplished the exact same thing, actually almost one step less, then they have accomplished the exact same thing as the Tennessee Titans. And that is, both teams have made it to the conference championship game and lost at Arrowhead. And both teams have lost in the divisional round of the playoffs in the last 3 years. Difference, Tennessee last year was the number 1 overall seed. Buffalo has not been the number 1 overall seed in those 3 years. So I look at Buffalo, and I believe there is major concern. Josh Allen is a roller coaster. Again, Miami showed you how to beat him, and the Jets showed you how to beat him. You know, and I'm not trying to question the Jets, but I don't think that the Jets are the best team in football. You know, I mean, it's interesting because I think the Bills are going to win their division, so I think the Jets are going to be a wild card team, but they're not someone that I think is tremendous. Like, again, I would have picked the Bills over the Jets. So just, again, I do believe there is concern there. Vikings were at the Commanders. I had the Vikings winning this game, and they did win 20-17. Raiders were at the Jaguars. I had the Raiders winning this game. The Raiders blew their 3rd 17 or more point lead of the season. They ended up losing 27-20. I was wrong there. Seahawks were at the Cardinals. I finally picked the Seahawks correctly. They won this game 31-21. The Rams were at the Buccaneers. Don't count out Tom Brady. He leads his team to a game-winning drive. Bucks win 16-3. I had the Rams winning, so I was incorrect there. A game I'm not going to talk about, again, on here because it's my biased view and I don't want to spend too much time. Titans were at the Chiefs. I had the Chiefs winning Sunday Night Football, and they did. A win is a win, and I want right now to establish a win is a win. You are playing an NFL franchise, and I wanted to bring up the if game because, boy, I saw so many ifs yesterday watching sports shows. If Ryan Tannehill plays, the Titans definitely win that game. Do you have a crystal ball that looks into another dimension? I am so tired of the if game because of this. Well, if Ryan Tannehill had played, what if he threw 3 pick sixes? You know what I mean? It bothers me that we can entertain the notion, and again, this is going to come off as babbling because it's me protecting my Chiefs, so I need to keep my level head. If you play the if game, there is no rule that says things have to go your way. Can we recognize that Harrison Butker missed one of the best kickers in the league, missed an extra point and missed a field goal? You know what I mean? Like, if does not only apply to your success. If is an equal footing. well, if Ryan Tannehill would have played, the Titans would have won. Well, if Ryan Tannehill would have played, maybe their running game wouldn't have seen as so much success, and Ryan Tannehill would have thrown 3 pick sixes. You know, like, I just, it bothers me immensely that we can play the if game and it always has to work out in the losing team's favor. Well, if Ryan Tannehill had played, maybe the Chiefs offense wouldn't have gone 6 drives without scoring. Maybe they would have answered the bell. You know what I mean? It drives me crazy that we play the if game in today's sports culture. I look at, again, the Alabama LSU game. Alabama fans can sit here and say, I mean, I don't even, I just, there are so many ifs. Well, if the defense would have played better and not allowed LSU to score on the first play of overtime, then I really don't think LSU would have gone for the 2-point conversion. Well, then maybe you would have lost in double OT. I just, the if game does not make, I need to calm down. Check out the Babbling Bennion for my more biased, unfiltered view. This is what I'll calmly say on Unbiased. If we played, should you play the if game, you have to play the if on both sides. If Ryan Tannehill had played, would the Titans have won? Maybe. If Ryan Tannehill had played, would he have thrown 3 interceptions? Maybe. If Ryan Tannehill had played, would the Titans have thrown the ball more and really used the play action? Maybe. If Ryan Tannehill had played, would the Chiefs have forced, more pressure and forced fumbles? Maybe. If. Don't come to me and say, if Ryan Tannehill had played, they would have won that game. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll never know. But what we do know is that Sunday night, the Chiefs won 20-17 in overtime. That's fact. That happened. So, that just always, I apologize. This is a huge rant. I apologize. That just bothers me. It drives me crazy because if, it means nothing. If doesn't change the standings. It's what happened. Anyway, I got to keep going and get out of here because I'm doing pretty good on my timing. Okay, Monday Night Football. Ravens at the Saints. I had the Ravens winning this game. Showed up, played well. Won 27-13. I was correct there. Again, 9 wins, 4 losses for me this week in the NFL. Bye weeks for Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, New York Giants, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. So those teams were not playing this week. On to this week, just 4 byes, so 2 games not played. Bye weeks for Baltimore, Cincinnati, New England, and the New York Jets. In regards to this week, Thursday Night Football, Falcons are at the Panthers. I like the Falcons to rebound and win this game. I don't know what to think about those Panthers. I mean, and I get trading away Christian McCaffrey, getting what you can for him because, he's miserable and, you weren't going to go anywhere with him. But boy, that team is a disaster. So I like the Falcons on Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks are at the Buccaneers. This is the first game in Munich, Germany. So the international scene continues to expand. Huge game Sunday morning. I believe it's 7:30 our time. And I've got the Seahawks winning this game. I like them to continue their winning ways. I've got them beating the Bucs, but this would be a wildly entertaining game. Again, there's not going to be a home field advantage for the Bucs. So I like the Seahawks to win this game. The Vikings are at the Bills. I like the Bills to rebound and win this game, but this is going to be a throwdown. This is a great matchup of 2 great teams, but I like the Bills winning at home. Lions are at the Bears. I like the Bears to rebound and get another win of this on the season at home. The Broncos are at the Titans. I like the Titans, and I got to be careful because I don't want to jump back in the rabbit hole. Here's what I think is going to be interesting. I think the Titans are going to win this game. I think they're going to win it handily. And I think Malik Willis is going to see some great success. Maybe not throwing the ball, but I think rushing the ball. I like this Titans team to really really separate themselves. I think their defense is going to cause havoc on the Broncos offense that has struggled. And I think offensively, I think the Titans are going to run over with Derrick Henry. But I also think with Malik Willis, I think that the Titans are going to win this game this Sunday over the Broncos. Jaguars are at the Chiefs. I've got the Chiefs winning this game. Browns are at the Dolphins. I've got the Dolphins winning this game. Texans are at the Giants. I got the Giants winning. Saints are at the Steelers. I like the Saints to rebound and beat the Steelers, even though the Steelers are coming off the bye week. I've got the Saints winning this game. Colts are at the Raiders. I mean, again, in my opinion, complete disarray. I like the Raiders to win this game at home, but who knows? I mean, both of those franchises right now are absolute dumpster fires. Cowboys are at the Packers. I like the Cowboys getting their revenge from all the pain that the Packers have caused them. I like the Cowboys winning this game, and the Packers, I mean, they just continue to slip and slide. I mean, I'm not going to talk about them just because all you can look at them is look at them and go, so I got the Cowboys winning. Cardinals are at the Rams. I like the Rams to win this game. I think they've got a good enough team to beat a struggling Cardinals team that just really can't find their identity. So I've got the Rams winning this game. Chargers are at the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. I like the 49ers. They're a fascinating team because they're only 4-4. You know, I will say they have had Christian McCaffrey in for 2 weeks now. They get the bye week, so I really like them to get the juices flowing. I like their defense, but I like, again, their offense to really overpower this Chargers team. I've got the 49ers winning. And then on Monday Night Football, the Commanders are at the Eagles, and I've got the Eagles winning that game and continuing to stay undefeated. Those are the games that we'll review. That's all the NFL that we'll review. And I'm looking at my time, and I'm doing pretty good. We'll move into our concluding segment. And our concluding segments, as always, we'll start with questioning Connor. And this week's question comes from Trevor Darty, and it's a really great question. He asked, in the NBA, who has surprised you the most and who has been the biggest disappointment so far? And listen, as a Jazz fan, and even if you aren't a Jazz fan, I feel like you could argue and say, oh, the biggest surprise is Utah. And I get that for sure, with the players that they traded, obviously, and not knowing if this was going to be a tanking season, if this was going to be a horrific season. I can understand where you say Utah could be the most surprising. For the purpose of argument, I'm not going to say Utah. I'm not going to say Cleveland for the reason that, I'm sorry, I just feel like the East is the easier conference. So I'm not going to say Cleveland. I'm going to go with Portland. And I go with Portland because they're 7-3. Damian Lillard is out for the next, I believe it's 2 weeks. And they just beat Miami by 3 yesterday. But I look at Portland and I look at their roster. And I say Damian Lillard is on there. Yusuf Nurkic is on there. Gary Payton II is on there. Justice Winslow is on there. But that really, to me, is it. And Jeremy Grant is on there. But, I mean, this is not a very loaded Portland roster. And they're 7-3. And they did this, and again, they beat Miami without Damian Lillard. So that's the team that I'm going to say has been most surprising in the positive way, and that is the Portland Trailblazers. I mean, they're going to get Damian Lillard back, but we'll see how it goes continuing on. Again, with the players that I listed off, I just don't think that they're going to keep winning. But at 7-3, I give them credit. I think they're the most surprising team. Most disappointing team for me, I go with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 5-6, but I just, I list off their, and I get injuries, but, Joel Embiid, James Harden, Montrezl Harrell, Tobias Harris, Daniel House Jr., Tyrese Maxey. I think George Niang, just in the way that, he had some good moments in Utah. Matisse Thybulle and PJ Tucker. I think I think it was AJ Bennion commented on the show when I asked the question, who do you think is an NBA title contender? And he was talking about Philadelphia. And I agree. I think Philadelphia is a great team. And I think they have great opportunities. Again, I get injuries. Injuries are part of the game. That's another thing that drives me crazy when people are like, well, if we... Actually, I already talked about that. Tannehill was injured. Sorry. Going back to this. Injuries are part of the game. But at 5-6, like, your team's better than that, and you're playing in the Eastern Conference. So 5-6, they're currently the 10th seed. Again, that'll change. But most disappointing, definitely, the Philadelphia 76ers. So that is the question and Connor segment. Thank you, Trevor, for your question. Yes, sorry. I was trying to remember if I needed to cover something else. Moving on to our concluding segment, Connor's question. My question last week was, who do you think are Super Bowl contenders in the NFL? And Trevor's answer was, my front runners for the Super Bowl so far would have to be Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly, and Minnesota. Philly has had an easy schedule, and with that easy schedule, they would have a favorable playoff schedule, but don't sleep on Miami, though. And I agree on all four teams. Here's the thing I think about Philadelphia. I think that they're a Super Bowl contender in the way of if they play, and I'm not going to say if they continue to play this way, because obviously they're undefeated. I'm going to say if they play correctly, and that is they just have to play, I hate to sit here and say they have to play humbly. They just have to play recognizing that they just need to play their game. Because their schedule to me has been very easy. They don't have a very difficult remaining schedule. But what I think is interesting is sometimes I feel like teams are winning, and then when it matters most, they recognize that, there's that word, sustainable. They recognize that the way they were playing wasn't sustainable, and they were just finding ways to win. In the playoffs, it's hard to find ways to win because crazy things do happen in the NFL, but teams don't make mistakes like they do in the regular season. When it comes to the postseason, you got to be 100% ready. And so Philadelphia is a little scary to me just in the way of, to me, they really haven't faced adversity and they haven't had really any tests, and we just don't know a lot about them, in my opinion. So I think that is wildly fascinating. Minnesota, the one question mark I put in them is Kirk Cousins, just in the way of, I just don't feel like Kirk Cousins is that guy. I think he's great, and it's wild the numbers he puts up, but I think when it matters most, I just don't know if he's that guy. In Buffalo, we talked about it, the roller coaster of Sam, I don't know who Sam is, Josh Allen. The roller coaster of Josh Allen is a little scary to me, but I also look at Buffalo and I say, every season, something is just not gone their way, and they've been eliminated. So they're interesting to me. And then regards to Kansas City, the fear is what my cousin and I talk about all the time, and that is it's hard to win in the NFL. And with the way the Chiefs are winning, it's hard to keep that status up. And so, as we've seen, they lost the Super Bowl, and then last year they didn't make the Super Bowl. It's hard to keep winning. So I always look at the Chiefs and I say, you can't win them all, and you can't continuously keep winning and go to the championship, AFC championship and or Super Bowl every year. Knock on wood, because I'd love to see that. So those are the four teams and four concerns. But, I mean, again, every team has concerns. Miami, I feel like the concern is, I feel like they play the most inconsistent and most unsustainable football, because I just feel like they focus on, we got Tyreek Hill in the offseason. Well, I promise you, Tyreek Hill's not going to win you every game. And honestly speaking here, Tyreek Hill didn't win the game for the Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills. It was a complete team effort, is my opinion. So that be the thing about Miami. I don't feel like they have the championship defense, and I feel like when it matters most, I feel like their offense is going to... I look at Miami, and I think that they'll be a playoff team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the wild card, and I wouldn't just because I just feel like in the postseason, I think that their offense is going to sputter. That's just sorry, I'm trying to find my words. I can't remember if I said off-season or postseason. I meant to say postseason if I said off-season. In the postseason, I just think their offense is going to sputter. And I just don't really see it. But I do like your point, Trevor. Don't sleep on the Dolphins, though. So that is our Connor's question segment, or review of Connor's question. Connor's question to get you out of here this week. I just remembered that I kind of forgot to put the disclaimer at the beginning, but that's okay. Because it is in relation to our question. My question is, who do you think is a genuine national championship contender in the college basketball world? I know we haven't seen anything to really discuss, but, you know, maybe you have a blue blood opinion already. Obviously, March Madness is crazy and things happen, and March is a long time from now. But for kicks and giggles, who do you think is a national championship contender in the college basketball game? That's Connor's question for this week. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Love to have your interaction. This has been episode 12 of the Unbiased podcast. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Unbiased Connor Bennion. November 8th, 2022, Election Day. Go out and vote. It is important. It is your right, and it is the opportunity that we have in this great nation. Thank you again for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you next week again as the NFL and NCAA continue. Rankings change. Teams keep playing. NBA, again, World Cup this month. Looking forward to talking about that as we move forward. Again, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning into the Unbiased podcast. I've been your host, Mr. Unbiased Connor Bennion. Have a great day, and thank you.